guys ready?
We're
All right.
live.
Hey guys, welcome.
Hello.
Happy Sunday. As you can see, I have two very lovely people in our chat today, and that is because we have a very special Sunday for you guys. This is a Reiki Q&A. So we have two really good Reiki practitioners here with both having very unique Reiki practices, which is why I want to interview them today. I went on to my YouTube memberships and Patreon to ask for questions to utilize in today's chat. Also, at the very end, if you guys have any follow-up questions, maybe we could take a look at that. But I'm so happy to have them here today. It looks like we had a couple of people that were here earlier. Susie Gemini, who had to bounce, says, Tara, Annette, and Ariana, I have to watch this back. I have an obligation today, sending all the love. And she, of course, is all about her emojis. So, Susie, we'll see you later. Kayla is in the chat. So, hey, Kayla. All
Hi,
right.
Kayla.
So, the chat is a little delayed because we're on StreamYard, so it may not appear as fast as it does on YouTube. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to jump off for 2 seconds, but before I do, I want to ask Annette first. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself. Just who are you, Annette Cruz?
You know, I ask myself that every single day. My name is Annette. I'm a Reiki master and yoga teacher and all kinds of other fun little goodies included in there. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, just this mixed bag of things, life experiences, and all kinds of different fun and exciting ways.
Nice. Oh, quickly, Kayla said, I don't know what happened to my member sticker. Oh no. It could be maybe that we're on StreamYard today. Maybe that's why your member sticker isn't showing up today, but I'll look into it after the chat. All right. Ariana, tell us about Ariana Casanovas.
Hello, I'm Ariana. I am a Reiki Level 2 Okuden practitioner. Want to also honor the path and devotion to Annette to take the Reiki Master. That is devotion of a path to walk, and it will, one day will be coming soon to me. But I've been doing Reiki for about over almost 2 years now. And I'm a Mexican Apache Bolivian descent. And so I kind of incorporate my Native American background into this kind of deeply woven. Um, I am a dog mama, and I'm a sister, daughter, all the things. A lot of my walk of path has just been to dedication to healing the childhood trauma, especially with mother and daughter bondings. And so my healing practices are really intricately woven around that and the spaciousness and energy of the home. So that's kind of what I do. But I'm also a dabbler as well. I can't feel like I can't just be one thing. It's like one day I'm like Reiki, Ariana, and then the other day I'm a florist and a nanny and all the things. Yeah.
So awesome. And I do want to throw in on the side, I'm Reiki level 1, but that is through my wonderful friend Annette. So I'm learning from one of the best. All right. So you guys, like I said, we have some questions lined up. But before we do that, I want to create just a nice little sacred space for all of us so we can get into this, get cozy, get, any nerves that anybody may have. We can just like chillax. And if you have a cup of tea, bust out a cup of tea. By the way, this one is from my best friend in Belgium. So
Oh my
thank you,
gosh.
Steph. Okay, so I'm going to start off with lighting our little candle. I want to just for me call in the elements. If Ariana or Annette want to do a little something that helps to set the space, I encourage you guys to do that as well. And also anybody else watching in the chat. So I'm just calling in the element of fire. the moment, just to burn away any uncomfortability, any negativity, anything that's weighing heavy on our shoulders at the moment. We're just going to chillax here and have ourselves a good time. All right, and then calling in the element of air with my piece of Palo Santo here. We're just going to blow away anything that doesn't serve us at this time. All right. And then I have my element of water. I'm just going to wash away anything that doesn't serve us. And then Ariana and Annette, if you want to check your computer and just make sure that it's on mute so there isn't an echo. Okay. All right, and I have my wand here. I hope you guys aren't hearing an echo. You are?
I am.
Okay.
I wonder if it's because of me.
Could you put the phone on mute, maybe?
Oh.
Is
maybe
that good? Okay. All right. So I have my, I don't know if you guys can see it. Well, it's a little blasted out, but I have my mosasaur tooth here, and this has an Ethiopian opal in it, and that's what I use for my wand. So I have a 90 million year old wand. Anyway, I'm calling in the directions now, starting at the north. Calling in the elements of the north to help us to cast our circle today. Calling in the elementals of the east to help us to cast our circle today. Calling in the elementals of the south to help us to cast our circle today. And calling in the elementals of the west to help us to cast our circle today. Our circle is cast, let our work begin, and so it is. Heck yeah! All right. And I have just a little bit of my Mabin oil that I had created actually on Mabin. So I'm just going to do a little bit of that. Just set the vibe. And we get all into it. All right. Jamie, hey, how are you? Good afternoon to you. All right, hold on. Let me turn Annette back on. All right. And Annette, I think you guys are both muted. You guys can both unmute yourself now. I think it should be okay. Okay. All right.
Is that on?
I think we're okay now. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question for each of you. And I guess while that one person's speaking, the rest of us will just mute our mics until the next person. Okay. Okay. So first question, this one comes from Patreon. Let's see, I'm going to ask, okay, was there a big event that happened in your life that caused you to make a change to pursuing being a healer? So was there a big event in your life that caused you to pursue the healing path? Let's actually start off with Ariana on this one. So I'm going to mute myself and then there we go.
Oh man. Yeah, there was accumulation of events that kind of just surfaced, but there was one moment in 2019 where I had an altercation with my mother. My healing path stems from being very devoted to heal to show my mother unconditional love that she can heal too. And I think ever since I was a little girl, I kind of really held that energy. But I didn't know because we're not taught that to be, our powers or what we can do or how much we can endure. And so I got into this really non-pleasant fight with my mother that it was violent, both verbally, spiritually, and physically. And I just remember that my higher self was kind of taking lead in a way of letting it play out the way it should, even though, like, logically, I was like, what is happening? And it was, in my 20s. And I think the next day it shifted. I saw everything in my reality for the way it was, and that if anything was going to change in my life, it would be because I took the step in devotion to do so. And so 2015 is really when I started to walk the path of healing and dabble into a practice and to really believe beyond, what we're told or what we're raised. I wanted to push past the limits and really listen to my heart. So 2018 is when I just moved and kind of did that, like, I guess in your 20s would be considered like a midlife crisis or something, but really just shifted and moved away from my family so I could regain my own thoughts, so I could identify who I am without everybody else telling me who they think I am. Not a little Ariana, not this, not that. I just like got up and moved to Colorado for 2 months, and then the pandemic happened. And then from there, this was during my Saturn return. So I was 29. So on top of all that, it just came in like a ton of bricks. And, great mystery, great spirit, showed me what I was made of. And so in 2021, in 2020, I saved a bunch of money. I moved back because I was with a partnership that didn't work out. And so that path, it was just like literally everything was being stripped away. And I think that was the hardest part of my life, was to see an old reality die. And you have to grab everything that you know and the tools that you know to your heart and rebuild from there. And I have to give gratitude to my cousin James, who's Tara's partner, to have been such a rock for me during that time, to keep me focused and to remind me, keep believing in what you know and to follow that magic. So kudos to that wonderful human being. But yeah, so 2021, I saved all my money. I got a car. I like started to rebuild, lived with family, was nomadic. And in that process, of course, in the moment of chaos, I was like, why is the world against me? Why is my world falling apart? And then, when you really go inward, you realize all the chaos, all the highs and lows were actually the medicine. When you decode everything, when you really just lay it out and you see what's happening in your field. And I was like, it's time. It's time to stop saying I wanted to learn healing. It was time to actually apply myself to it. So I saved my money. I signed up with this wonderful teacher in Ojai, where I'm now currently in California. And I studied back to back Reiki 1 and Reiki 2, and then apprenticed with her for most of 2021. And then it was just kind of shot up from there, and there's no going back. And it's an honor to be of service in that way. In a nutshell.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Deeply personal. All right, Annette, same question. So what was a big event in your life, if there was one, that prompted you to pursue the healing path?
Okay, first of all, can you hear me? Okay, very good. I want to make sure. Well, the biggest shift and change in my life, the major one, was July 24th, 2005, when I lost my son. So he was killed by a drunk driver, he and his best friend. And it really, I needed answers. And
the place that I had gone to for answers wasn't supplying what I needed. I had real questions, and I felt like I was giving these canned and coined answers. And I wanted to know. I wanted to know, what the hell is this? What is this thing called life that we're living? Why him? They were deep and hard questions, and I wasn't getting anything. I was going to counseling, I was reading books, I was in um, parent groups of people who had lost their children. I was involved with MAD. I was going in and out of court for like 6 years. And at first, I really, I was trying. I was trying to understand what was going on and deal with the grief. So through that, because I was not being able to obtain the truth, I felt like it was just so coined. And I'm not giving any shade to anybody who is involved with organized religion. It's just, it wasn't working for me. It wasn't true for me. So at that point, I really started seeking other means of explanations, as far as life, as far as death, as far as transitions and these feelings and emotions that we're experiencing. So I started from there, and I started trying to heal myself physically and mentally through more alternative methods. I had always been opposed to typical or medicines that are prescribed. I've always been opposed to that. And I guess, the transition wasn't just since then. The transition really started, I'm going to be specific again, back in 1989, where I was undergoing another really big transformation in my life. And I brought one of the books here. Somebody gave me this book, Carlos Castañeda, The Teachings of Don Juan. And this book opened my eyes. So already since 1989, I was on this other path of really learning and looking into other ways of thinking, of being, of understanding the realities or the alternate realities. And so when I lost my son, it really just, it was I got catapulted forward into this, and it was hard and deep and mad almost. I was angry, and I channeled that into learning. And I feel sometimes I don't know if you ever see a little animal just digging into something crazy, mad, I gotta find the answers. I dug into so many things at the same time that it was crazy. From the outside, somebody would have been like, what is wrong with her? And I always tried to keep it kind of nobody really knows what's going on, but it was crazy, really, the way that I was doing this. So one of the first courses that I took, they call me a tissues issues coach. So it's energy healing, and it's all about ancestral healing and dealing with what's within the body, and using that and using statements of affirmation and all of these questioning and digging into the ancestral lines, digging into who had what. Was it my father? Was it my mother? Where does it stem from? So then from there, I got into limpias because I needed some cleaning, girl. It just needed to be washed. So I got into limpias and curandera work. And then from there, it was shamanic practices and soul retrieval, because I needed to retrieve my soul because I had lost a big part of it. And then I needed something to call my method of healing, because there was no solid, at that time, there was no solid way to label it. So then I took Reiki. So that's how I've been about Reiki, because I'm like, well, people are more familiar with Reiki. I mean, it's in the hospitals, people are more familiar with it. So I took Reiki, and then everything just kind of like came together. Everything was kind of like, okay, I can fit all of these modalities into this one label, which is called Reiki. So that's what I use. So mostly when I talk about what I do, it's yoga, Reiki, right? Because everybody's familiar with yoga and Reiki. But once you start talking about these other concepts, people are like, what the hell is she talking about? What are you doing? You know? But so from there, I took cacao facilitator training and womb healing. And then I took the 9 rites of the monarchy. And the rest is history. Oh, and then yoga, of course. Throughout all of this, also, I became a yoga teacher. So, so what's cool about yoga is that you're able to move through, the physical movement of healing and stuff. So I'm able to help with that as well. So I feel like now it's finally come to a point where it's like this nice little package where I can really work through all these components. But that was losing my son, because I needed answers, and they just weren't there. So that's how I came to be who I am and what I do. Thank you. And why can't I hear?
She might be frozen on my end.
Unmute myself there. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I was looking over in the chat, and Jamie was actually asking Annette if she wouldn't mind typing in the name of the book and the author, maybe into the comments, or maybe if you can't do that, just write it on a piece of paper and stick it up to the screen. We'll go old school style. Also, Liesel's here. Hey, Liesel, how are you doing? And then Jacqueline was wondering if we could link the StreamYard. It's the same. StreamYard and YouTube are working in tandem right now. So we can see all the comments that are being posted to YouTube. So that way it's going directly through YouTube. So there's not much to see over here on the StreamYard end. It's double linked. So you should be fine. Okay. My next question. These were some good questions. We're getting into some of James's questions. And this is actually a good one. Since both of you have studied Reiki, and I know that both of you have a slightly different way of practicing Reiki, maybe we'll go back to Ariana, what you may feel is the biggest limitation of the strict practice of just the Reiki that you practice, not adding in all the other flavors that you connected to it. But what do you feel is the biggest limitation? So I'm going to go back on mute.
Was it the biggest limitation of practicing Reiki? Is that James's question? Okay. So like what was, okay. I think for me, in the beginning of studying Reiki, it came in just so quickly into my world. And from my understanding and what I know to be true for my path was that it accelerates kind of faster of killing is like the wrong word, but an old way of life. Because I think when you are a practitioner, it kind of changes. Reiki is a path that you walk, and you really have to learn a lot about protecting yourselves. And I know that you and I and James talk about shielding constantly and what that looks like. And I've been humbled. There's been times where I've done sessions and I've not shielded properly. And those are, again, lessons, and to learn and to kind of build stronger and really see what you're made of. But I think I was just studying the Sui Priho lineage which is from my teacher's teachings was, or my sensei's teachings was to be one of the first like branches. There's so many branches of Reiki, you know, and um, in the beginning, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm like steering off. In the beginning, it was so potent. And then I think when I started to understand, you start to form your own identity with it. So I think I kind of stayed in one box. I kind of put myself in a limitation. And so, like Annette, who has all these beautiful medicine tools in her belt, I think you and I have like a different, you came in with all your medicine tools, and I'm here starting to learn like, wait, there's more outside of Reiki too, you know, but it's a beautiful way to hear you and share your story of like, good, I want to, I feel like curandera is such a thing running in through my veins too. And I'm like, limpias, oh my God, the limpias galore, just clear it away. And I just, yeah, I think I wanted to expand my toolbox. But, you know, there's two views that are very beautiful. And, I think Reiki defined something, like Annette said, it defined these answers that we needed of like, what is life? What is this? What's this way of healing? And um, but now like I feel like it's opening up to like, I want to learn all the medicine tools, really calling in the elders to guide me and to teach me in those ways, especially with womb healing and you know, soon to want to be a doula and really just be here for the mother and the feminine and also for the masculine to show them the feminine. So I feel like I answered that. Limitations. Limitations was I limited myself. That's that. I limited myself because I stuck myself in one box. But then you realize Reiki is so universal. It is universal life force. It's everything. It's the hands of God. It's if we're just the conduits in this beautiful world.
Very beautiful, beautiful. All right. So, Annette, in your opinion, what is the limitation that Reiki has? So, Annette,
Wait,
there you
can
go.
you hear me
Okay.
now?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, the limitations that I have are with technology. As you can tell, I make no, like, I'm always joking about it because I think it's funny. But seriously, in today's day and age, I think that's where my limitations lie, is with technology and getting this message out and getting this healing out when it comes to technology. I've been able to manage okay. But seriously, this has been my biggest challenge is technology because this is the way that healing is going now. So now I've been doing most of my healings online now because after COVID, you know, everybody came home. I've said this a million times on my channel. Like everybody's home, right? Or everybody came home. So like my husband works from home full time. And so before it was always like referrals and I could have people here in my home. I had all my tools. I would set up my table and I had everything available to me. And then when COVID happened, I had to reel it in and I had to find another way. So then I started doing things online, but I would use like I would connect with people on Facebook through the messenger thing. And then I would give classes that way. I would so those have seriously, and I know that may sound silly, but those have been my limitations at this point because Reiki is so open and it's so beautiful and there's so many different aspects of it. So like just in Reiki alone, as far as Ariana mentioned, like the different modalities of Reiki. So now I've taken the regular Usui Reiki, I've taken shamanic Reiki, Kundalini, Karuna. Um, I've also, in addition, and now see, remember I told you I get a little mad about things sometimes. Like nobody will know, but I know what I'm doing. Like regular Reiki, I've taken regular Reiki 3 times. I've taken Karuna Reiki twice. I've taken Kundalini Reiki 3 times because I want to know different aspects and different ideas from different people. So that way I can kind of gather it in. Like I've taken other specialty courses like oncology Reiki and grief Reiki and crystal Reiki and kids Reiki. Like seriously, it just keeps like anytime I see something that can go into my toolbox, I'm reaching for it. But now with the way that things are and the way that things operate, I think my challenges right now or my limitations are technology. I really do. I need to spend some time really getting this technology down so that I can, host like maybe group classes, maybe through something like this. As you can see, I'm not doing this well. that well with this type of platform, but that's where my limitations are. But as far as challenges, like I think it's taking the Western world out of your mindset. I think that's the biggest challenge, is when you're speaking to people about dealing with alternate realities and getting that concept down to most people, it's hard for them to get out of their head and just trust what they're experiencing. I think that like my limitations and then the challenges that I face are just getting people out of their own head to stop like thinking about that left side brain and just releasing it, or just saying, okay, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, it's all fake, but I'm just going to keep going with it anyway, I'm just going to keep rolling with it. So I think it's just the ability to give yourself permission to just believe what you're experiencing. So I think that's where the limitations have been, as far as my own limitations and as far as the limitations that I find in experiencing this with other people.
Mute. All right, excellent. Okay. And yeah, I definitely on the technology stuff was coming up before I jumped into the chat, because James teases me because I'm a Mac user, and according to him, all Mac users are people who don't know how to use computers. That's why they use Macs, and that's why he has PEC. And you know what? I'm not I was never super good at computers. I could run DOS back in the day, and that's all I could do. And I had a DOS computer when I was in college, and no other college kid had DOS. I had a typewriter when I was in high school. Nobody had typewriters in high school. So I'm like 3 decades behind everybody else because my parents are 3 decades behind. So
you know what? I miss typewriters.
Just an ancient soul, Tara.
Yeah, I kind of miss typewriters. I like the big chunk, 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 and not being able to type so fast because all the keys get bunched up. So you have to type slower. Yeah, I miss my thing, and having to go back and hit the same letter again to do a race. So anyway.
I do have to say, Annette too, like you brought a great point. I think that is one of the biggest things is technology, especially for how fast we're moving. I was just like,
yes.
it took me years to launch my website, just to get it out to the world to show. And I'm just like, it was like so personal too. And you're just like, I just, even like the to post every day, it's just like, how do I create that word of mouth? And it's like community and just experiences. Technology is a challenge right now for me. I just, I don't know.
Yeah, for me too. It seems so natural for other people, but for me, it's difficult. It's a challenge.
I don't even have a computer. We're on my iPad. That's as far as I pretty much go.
We're on my cell phone, so
yeah.
All right. I do want to give a shout out to Michelle, who came in earlier. So hey, Michelle, how are you doing? And Ange is here as well.
Hey, Ange.
Okay, this one I think is. We'll get some good answers from you guys. I'm really excited about this question. Okay, we're gonna jump forward to this one. So going back to Ariana, tell us your best kick-ass Reiki story, like where Reiki just like kicked ass that day, like you felt like boom, shakalaka healing boom, that kind of Okay,
I
I'll go
will,
on mute. Tell us all about it.
I will humbly share my story of my boom shakalaka. Oh my gosh, it was back in April, and this is when I started to incorporate, started to work more with my Native American ancestors and started to work with buffalo medicine more. And I had this, I was part of this consulting team that hired me on as one of the healing arts practitioners to help this gentleman, such a pure spirit who he he worked with plant medicine out of integrity. We're talking ayahuasca and ketamine for a year. And so he was kind of taken. Like he wasn't here, he was fragmented in other places, but like his heart was so there. And so I took on took it on. I was like, I want to work with this person. And so I, was practicing my shielding, and I remember it was really intense sessions every time because it was very unique. This is when I realized like maybe I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing if this is Reiki, because like I'm doing what I do, like listening and being the conduit. I was like, but what's coming through? And for me it was more, and this is when I started to really feel my ancestors very, very present, especially the white buffalo calf woman, very present in my sessions. So I know that he was up in that spiritual realm, and I could see it, I could feel it. I was getting visions of where he was, and so I was holding on to his feet. And I remember I just held, and there was like a surge. This is like the practicing the shielding, the surge of like something grabbing onto my neck, like this dark force that didn't want to leave. And I just like, usually when I'm shielding, I was just telling Tara and James this, I use sound too as a way to incorporate my shielding. So I think of white light, and I think of, like I was telling them, as like a surround sound, when you go into a movie theater and they do like the testing of the surround sound, it's like doo, right? Like so I imagine like white light and then that sound, so it purifies everything in the room and on him, and that helps me push and bring down the energy that was coming through, that was latching onto him. But then I held on to his feet, and I remember, or no, on his shoulders, because it wasn't moving through his feet, and I was holding on to his shoulders. And it was like I was in a different war field with this other thing, because I still, I was like, is this even Reiki? And had my hands on his shoulders to show him that he was safe. And all of a sudden, I had like a stampede of buffaloes just come through, and I just felt it within his body, just move out of the way. And like I was just like, hold on to that vision, hold on to that feeling. Imagine smelling the dust getting kicked up. It was like this whole experience. And I remember him after that session just being like, what just happened? And I was like, I don't even know what that was. Because you do if you just do the general Reiki and don't add your things that are in your toolbox, it's just a really gentle, relaxing space that when you bring in all your ancestors and the medicines and everything that it just becomes your own unique experience in your own medicine, your medicine. And so for him to validate that he felt that stampede move through, and it didn't, I mean, he was a repeating client, so these sessions were constant every week to get this, to bring him down to earth. Really, it wasn't even that he needed clearing, because his heart was so pure, and that was the one thing. It was just like a reminder. But the buffalo medicine coming through was wow. And I remember later that day I felt like that pain on my neck, and I was like, okay, like gotta go in harder. And so I knew every single time I would give myself a whole day just to dedicate to this client and just clear myself, go in water and just cleanse myself. But I was just more amazed, like, holy crap, like this is the magic of our world that we live in. And this isn't something I'm just creating in my mind. If someone's reciprocating or telling me back the feedback of like, what was that eagle that flew by in my visions, or who's that woman standing next to you with the long hair, like the native woman, I'm like, so you see her, and it's not just me. And then you realize just like how potent this world is that we're in, and the magic and the medicine and the healing. It's not something. Eastern medicine is the way back to the heart. And I agree, like Western medicine, we need it for some things, like if we break our arm, I'm sure. But when it comes to that, I think that's when I realized, like, okay, here we go. This is how we incorporate the buffalo medicine. But yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, I remember you recounting and telling that story to us. That was pretty amazeballs. All right, so Annette, your bomb ass Reiki story. One of many, maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to check every time.
And Ange said very powerful to Ariana as well.
Yes. I think one of the times where I thought, damn, that was awesome. Okay. was I had two ladies come in to see me at the same time. So one Reiki session, two people. And, and I was thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? But then I thought I could work with this. Like if I work with this and do it right, I could do like couples Reiki sessions. So I was like, cool, let's do it. And so what I did is I had them both come in, and I worked on with my yoga stuff. I worked on, and this was at a yoga studio that I was holding a lot of these classes before when I was in California. And so one of the things that I do is I have you meditate for a few minutes with a rock. And so that's at the beginning of the session, depending on how long I have for the session. So I'll have them sit with a rock, and I'll walk through a meditation with them, and then I'll have them pour into the rock what you want to unload. So this rock carries what's no longer serving you. So you're pouring it all into this rock. So that's the meditation that I'm going through with them. And then what I did is I took one onto the table, and then I had the other one sitting, and there's always music when I'm doing Reiki. So I had them sitting within that, and then in Savasana for a short time as well. But what was cool about it is just the way that it worked out. And okay, I'm not going to lie. I like it when people cry on the table. May sound weird, but like if you come into my yoga class or if you come into one of my healing sessions and you cry, I'm like, yes, because I got what I needed. I needed you to release, because that's what it's all about, right? So it's about you releasing something that's trapped or blocked within the body, within the mind. Something in there is blocking your healing. And both of these ladies, when it was their turn to get onto the table, it wasn't just it was like a deep weeping. It was like profound. And so and afterwards they're like, get rid of those rocks. We don't want, because I always give people the option to, like, do you want to take the rock and dispose of it the way that you see fit? Or do you want me to handle it? I don't want to touch it. Get rid of the rock. So for me, that was one of the times that really stood out to me because of just how they were into this healing, how they were into it, how they felt it, how they were in it. And then, I mean, I've had some pretty profound sessions, even just in yoga as well, where I can see, what's going on with the practitioner there on the mat, but as far as Reiki is concerned, I think that one was pretty awesome just because of the emotion that was flowing from them. I just thought that was ultra cool.
Dude, such amazing stories. That is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Get the rock away from me.
But I mean, it is true that the tears, you're doing your work. You're your mission when someone is releasing, or that deep inhale or exhale, and then, or even for me too, I don't know if with you, Annette, that with the hands, when they're clenching and then they don't want to release just yet, and then you can just see things just kind of move.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
allowed, they're
Well, you can see it
surrendering.
in their face. You can see it
Yeah,
within the face, just the way that the eyebrows just kind of release.
yeah,
Even here within underneath the
yeah.
in this area here, you can just see that everything just drops, everything just calms
Hmm.
down. And then the shoulders just kind of drop.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
okay, they're there.
They're here. Yeah, yeah. I always say
Yeah.
too with my clients, especially when I'm working with someone for the first time, I recommend 90 minutes just because
Yeah.
I know it takes people some time just to kind of surrender, especially when you're exchanging new energy and you're getting familiarized. It takes
Yeah.
people to drop in with themselves, and I get them in that rhythmic breathing, but it's the most rewarding thing. It's not like, and I mean, I cry with them sometimes. Like if I'm working on someone and you can feel things like grandmother energy or whatever comes through, there's times I'm just like, oh my God, like Jesus, take the wheel. Like this is so beautiful. Like to be that empath and feel it with them, to know that they're not alone in that process. You know, this is
Yeah.
the work that we do. Like they're crying. I'm like, is that bad? That I is that bad that I'm that I like that you're crying right now?
I'm always like, yes, they're crying.
We did it.
Yeah, I noticed that with Annette when I'm in yoga, and there was another person that was in there one time, and she was like, "Oh, it was during the session, the tears were streaming, and I could see it on Annette's face, like, yo, yeah, I did that," and I'm like, "Oh, Annette." Okay, I have a question that is specific to Ariana. And that is Reiki on animals. I know that you both can do Reiki on children, but Ariana, who has her dog, I'm wondering, how is that different than when you do Reiki on a person when you're doing it on an animal?
You look at,
Oh yeah,
hold on.
do that.
I'll be right back. I have to get my charger for my computer or it's going to die. I'll be back.
Reiki on animals is a different experience too, because I feel with animals, especially when I work on my dog Nova, or any animal that kind of comes by, they show you how much they want. You know, um, if anytime that I'm doing a meditation or practice, Nova, there's just this ritual that she has, and she'll be next to me because she could feel that, that exuding. And we all have Reiki. Actually, this attunements are what is a little bit different, where I can attune, where I'm attuned to the symbols to share, and so we all carry it. But with her, I've done a lot, especially when I was like practicing more. I would get her on the table, and they just kind of have like this surrendering, and for me, they're just warm pockets. And for dogs, I feel like with her, it's mostly her heart work. Right now, she's moving through a time in her life that because we've been so nomadic, that she needs to feel safe. And so in order, she has to feel like she has to protect me. And I'm like, no, 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 I protect you, but um, there's also a contract there with her and I think sometimes like I'm her emotional support human rather rather than she's my emotional support, but she's a medicine. She likes to sit in on sessions too. If I'm doing sessions, she'll sleep underneath the bed or next to the bed and just be out the whole time. But yeah, I work on her, and I feel like with animals, when she's done, they just get up and go. When they're done receiving the Reiki, most dogs kind of just get up and go, or cats, or any of that. It's a really short time that they'll take, because it's a lot for them. They're really highly sensitive beings. So it's doing that. And I also work with essential oils lightly on her too, a little lavender, just to kind of rub into her paws, into her ears. But um, yeah, and then when they're done, they're done. They're like, "Oh, that was it. That's all the Reiki I need." And so um, I respect that with her. But yeah, they get it, they absorb it more quicker than I feel humans do. Because they're kind of just unconditional loving beings. So they're just like, "Meow." Where are you, Mom? So
All
yeah.
right, excellent. And actually, I hadn't thought of like a certain essential oils, for animals. I know some
Yeah.
you can't use on them, but lavender is, pretty gentle.
Yeah, I do they have a really great, I think on their site, they show all the ones that you can use and the properties for actually animals that are safe.
Oh,
So
okay.
I always make sure that's one thing. Always make
Yeah.
sure to check in what you're using. But lavender is just probably the one I use the most, especially for myself and for her. And then I think it calms her, especially music. Music, yesterday I had like singing bowls played for them. We have a new dog now, so I had to go to work and nanny, and my partner, he was out watching the Dodgers game, so the dogs are home. And I was like, hey, I just left him with some soothing sounds. Like the plants absorb to that, like everything in the home absorbs to that. And I came home and they were just like zened out.
Okay. I have a question for Annette, specifically for Annette. So Annette was talking about having a hard time with technology, but I know that you do a lot of like distance energy healing. So how, in your opinion, is a distant energy healing session different than if you were in person with them, with the client?
Extremely different, because if they're crying, of course, I can't really see it, right? So that kind of like, but energetically, when we're dealing with Reiki, one of the Reiki signs is for time and space. So energetically, if you think about it, even though I'm not there with them physically, I am. As long as I set my intention and work these symbols correctly so that I am in their time and in their space. And then when I have a Reiki session with somebody, it's not just like, okay, give me your information, I'll log on at this time and, we'll get to it. There's a lot of prep work that comes beforehand. And part of that is tuning in. Like I know that you do this, Tara, tuning in to that person's particular energy. So there's a lot of that work that goes on prior to. And then I have a Reiki box. So anybody that I've ever taught Reiki to is always in that box. They're permanently in that box. And then then there's a separate little area of clients or anybody that I'm, sending out healing to. So those channel through. So those names get added to the Reiki box as well. So I'm already working with their energy prior to my signing on with them and doing that. But I've had some really amazing responses online, doing it online. Like they will tell me, oh gosh, that was amazing, and I remember one. So I go online with them and then I'll just set the phone down. So some of them, it'll be like they can see me, I can see them. And some of them, it's just like voice. But at one point, I could see that one of the chakras just like off, 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 off. And when I'm doing it online, there's always a little piece of paper. And sometimes I'll, just jot down a little note and the time. And this person mentioned, I felt this going on. And it was just an amazing experience to know that, like I said, like to get out of our minds, like believe what you're thinking, believe what you're experiencing. Don't let yourself get in your own way, because sometimes it's easy to get in your own way when it comes to distance healing. You can say, am I making this up? Is this not really real? But it is. And as soon as we stop thinking in that Western mind and getting out of our own way, then we can really experience that. So I prefer, just like with yoga, I prefer in person. I really do, because they're there. And then another thing that I do is I'm doing drumming, I'm doing singing bowls. Even though, okay. Is he here? No, he's not here. Okay. I have a Reiki bear. He's a big bear. And I set up the table as if they're there with me. So whoever is receiving distance Reiki, there's a table, there's the Reiki bear. I'm still setting up my setup exactly as I would as if they were in front of me. So there's still that experience, there's still that energetic connection, but of course I prefer in person. But it's just the way things are now. And the good thing about online experience is that I'm able to reach out more. I'm able to get a broader audience.
All right. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. And that's something that you were bringing up about, trusting your guidance and everything that's coming through. That's something that took a while before I actually presented that as an option on my own website, a distance energy healing. Cause I'm like getting all this stuff and, the ego part of my brain is like,
Yes.
you just have a really active imagination. That's not really going on. But then when you get the feedback, which I'm very grateful that almost every single person I've ever read for or did a healing for or something, I've always gotten feedback, and they're like, oh, yeah. And then I was able to see this when I was meditating, during the time you were giving the energy healing and this and that. And it's like, oh, okay. So that wasn't all in my head because, things that were going on in my head was what they were feeling, and they're relaying that to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So the ego is just dumb and they can just take a little side seat there.
I also think too, like telepathy too. We all, as the veil's thinning, this communication, you ever like think of somebody and then like 2 minutes later they call you? Like, how can we, that's that same kind of remembrance to like, oh God, like that's right. Like we can send messages, we can send this energy from afar and it works. But I have the same thing too. You're like, is this working? Like in the beginning I was like, I don't know. But I do the crystals in the all the chakras and the crystals. And the same thing, like it doesn't change when it's distance. The same preparation, the same devotion, the same intention is there, but there is that thing, like Annette said, that see the tears, I watch the breath too, like when they're taking those deep inhales and all you can do is focus, but the power of the ego sometimes just like, go away, just that's when the buffalo medicine comes in, you're like, no. Move through.
I do have a small, like a travel size cloth that I take with me. So anytime we're out of town or whatever, I take like a little, is it here?
Like a little.
I have like a little travel. It's right here. So, see how shocked I am? Like, oh my God, it's here. So this is my little travel cloth.
Oh, wow.
And then I have like, everything's ready to go. So I have like the platonic solids. I have my obsidian, a nice little arrowhead somebody gave to me. And then, so I have everything here. I have my chakra stones. I have my Herkimer. I have my feather. I have my pendulum. Everything's in this little thing that I take with me. So
you're ready to go on a healing session.
Calls before when I'm out, and then, when we're out of town, I've received calls, and then I'll go back. When we go back at night, I'll set up and I'll just do it with that little cloth right there.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. I don't have, that is gonna go in my belt because I have like a basket of like all my altar pieces. Because I've been going, I don't have a studio, so I go to people's homes. I bring like a candle, the water, the sprays, the aromatherapy.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but I try to fit in this one basket with like my massage table and my blankets. But I'm like, it's a lot, but it's like I know they feel that experience. They feel like unique for them, and that's important that the client feels that way. But I love that bag idea. Now it's like a little medicine bag with you at all times.
Yeah, because this is just like, okay, this is my little travel Reiki bag,
Oh,
and then it goes in with my other stuff that I normally take, just to read for myself and just to have a little experience there wherever we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to give
Absolutely.
a shout out to Silver Star Priestess. She said, "Hello, darlings. Working, lurking with gloves on to boot. Good afternoon to all."
Aw.
And
Hi,
Lisa
Silver Star.
welcoming her in. Okay.
Oh,
Um, question. Since both of you were talking about learning not only Reiki and that there's so many different branches of Reiki, some people are talking about, oh, I'm a Reiki practitioner. It's like, what branch of Reiki are you in? Plus, I know that you guys incorporate so much more from your own backgrounds and your culture and things like that. So let's see. We'll go Ariana first. Tell us, like, if I was to book a session with you, what does that in-person session look like? The tools that you use, how you're incorporating it, like what makes it different than just from the book Reiki, let's say Japanese style Reiki, like just
yeah.
going by the book, how is yours different?
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, definitely, I think in the quality of everything that we use in sheets and things like that, I think I try to keep it really natural, um, and mindful of aromas and smokes. But for what I was taught in the Japanese way, the lineage, it's very minimalistic. You can just put out a yoga mat and then boom, 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 and still do this beautiful work. But I think when you add your own little things that kind of share who you are, and that way is I arrive to my clients about 15 to 30 minutes early if they have the time for me to go and set up and get the room ready so I can feel. Also, I like to go into the space of the home and really find the one space that seems a lot like breathable, if you will, really airy. And and that goes into another topic of like how that kind of intertwines into making space and clearing energy in the home too, and bringing that in an offering that I also do for our clients. But I go in, I set up, I get everything ready. I don't, I mean, I say I'm like lugging around this basket, but it has just like, things that are to me, I guess I can show you really quickly. I have some stuff here. But I like to, like here we have, well, not the post it. I'm taking notes, but just, like a feather and bringing in the elements, really calling that in as, and I use ceremonial smudges like Palo Santo, Copal, sweetgrass, white sage, cedar. What if it's a good clearing? I'm gonna bring that in. But so I will set up, get myself ready, prepare, and just really meditate with the room and get connected, and then call in the client and just have a light discussion. Go over things that are are your allergies, if you're allergic to smudge and smoke, if consent for all these things. So I wouldn't want to just do that. Ask about any pain in the body and just try to make sure that I'm holding that space in a way where they can see it in my heart and my body language that as like come as you are, everything that you are. And really reassure them and go over like things that happen, especially if it's their first session. Just you might cry or you might bodily things might kind of come out, or like especially with gentlemen's like things might happen. Like just assure them that this process is is natural and that they can surrender to that space. That's like something very important to me. It's like surrender because you're safe here, and show them the safety in their own home too. And then I have them start on their stomach. I find when I was working on their hearts or their chest forward, we were also taught in my lineage to start have them on their backs or on their stomachs first for 45 minutes and then turn them over after 45. You really get to kind of like go into the body and just like kind of ground them in first. And then every time that 45 minutes is up, and then every time I turn the client moves over, that's when like the real deepening of the energy flows. Because like I said, like those first 30 minutes is just like the someone's trying to get into the rhythmic breathing pattern. So that's where I hold the space of like really grounding the body for them. And then take a step back and I do my prayers. I call in the teachers, the senseis, call in my own ancestors, and just do a quick, deep prayer before I start to work on them. And I go in and I have music in the background, candles, water, aromatherapy. I start with some lavender to help them relax from the nervous system. And I just very gentle. And I try to hold the feminine force because I think right now in the world, we can become very imbalanced in those ways. So it's like really feeling into their body too, what they need more of. And I think a little grace and nurturance, like the mother in the womb, that's what I usually get back. It's like I just felt like I came out of like the womb, like just being held in like a cozy little nook. And that's important, you know. And then I know that this isn't really what I was taught, but I like to ask how that session went. Usually it's like, and I'm not like a therapist, but I love to hear and share what I can or just listen because I think sometimes people like get out of, well, I respect people like, okay, I'm fine. They hop out and they leave you pack up and go. And it was like, did you like that? Like, did you have a good experience? Not really sure, but I remember like ego, like they're processing. Some people just need a moment to process, and others are just like, what was that? Or like, and you just hold that space for them. So I definitely carve out more time right now, especially because like I'm building this clientele too, especially because I've moved to Ojai, a new place. So all my clients were in San Francisco, where I was based currently, or at the time. And now here in Ojai, it's really building that up and gaining that. But I also love doing sessions outside under a tree. I have this beautiful connection with trees, and if the weather permits, I would recommend mostly to be outside under a tree with nature and I let the sounds of source really be there and guide them through that. Because it's always amazing when they wake up and like this tree is just like I used to do it under a pepper tree at my old home, and this pepper tree like cascaded down, and they would just be like, where am I? And I'm like, you're back. Welcome. But yeah, it's really just little things, and listening intuitively, watching your client for me, what they need and clearing away. And a lot of like sometimes like what's coming up for me is a lot of light language, things that I worked on one Egyptian woman, and all of a sudden I just started saying all these like things. I'm like, I don't even know what this is, but I'm gonna go with it. And I just was like coming out, and then she kind of came out of that and she felt reconnected back to a lineage for her that was lost. And I was like, I don't remember it, or I don't even know what I was saying, but it's just trusting the flow of Reiki too and the medicine that you carry. It's not self-doubting yourself in that moment. You just go with it. The way spirit wants to work, you just go with it. That and Isis too. I work with Isis and White Buffalo Calf Woman in my sessions. Those are my girls.
Nice. So yeah, it sounds very calm, nature-based, peaceful.
Yeah.
So,
And all the elements and animal spirits too, yeah.
So Annette, what does a session look like in person with you? Like how is yours unique to your background and everything?
Well, okay. I always got to throw little jokes in, right? So
of course.
So
what? Annette joking?
what? Okay. So we're all familiar with the Rick James song, right?
I'm Rick
Super
James.
Freak.
Yeah.
Oh,
When
yes.
you come in, she's got incense, wine, and candles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay. Minus the wine. It is such a freaky scene. So my approach to Reiki is a combination of all my different trainings, of the different styles, but sincerely, it is not your typical Japanese Reiki because if I had to label it, it would be shamanic Reiki. So I would say that I practice shamanic Reiki because it does include all of these different aspects. So your typical Japanese Reiki or Usui Reiki, which is, I was trained in shamanic Usui Reiki, but your typical Usui Reiki is a very yin energy. So like Ariana mentioned, it's very clean, it's very receptive, it's very relaxed, it's very easy. Not to say that we're all just like, relaxed and easy. I'm just saying, it's a yin energy. It's more receptive. Now your shamanic Reiki or your shamanism in general is more of a yang energy. You're using tools. It's kind of loud sometimes. There's drumming, there's singing bowls, there's all these things. So I start days before, like I mentioned earlier, and I start connecting to whoever's going to come in. On very rare occasions is when I do 2, and it's like 2 at a time, but usually it's one person a day, because it's a lot to prepare for. So I ask that whoever is going to receive the Reiki start eating clean days before. Like Reiki, well, even when I teach Reiki. So like with you, Tara, I already know that you eat clean. So I didn't have to tell you to eat clean. I already know you drink a lot of water. I didn't have to tell you all that because I already knew that you knew. Yeah. But I ask that they eat clean and drink a lot of water so that their body is in a state where it's able to accept the energy that's going to be passed along through me, not from me, but through me. And I do the same. And then in addition to that, so my space, I prefer to do it at my home. I've done it at yoga studios before where I have to take up my table and take up this. So it's like trips, like taking everything up, because there's a lot going on. So I use my table, linens, Mexican blankets. There is chumpy stones underneath my table. There's a bowl with water and salt underneath. I always have an obsidian knife. I always have a feather. I always have my crystals. There's a candle. I use copal during the ceremony or during the healing session. Sometimes there will be additional plants in addition for any other type of limpias that I feel that might be necessary. And those vary as to what's available to me at that time. There's no, steadfast rule. But I set it up with my singing bowl close by, with my drum close by, and essential oils. I always have a set of essential oils, and I use doTERRA as well. So they have what's the name of it? It's a set, but I use this set from doTERRA. I can't remember the name.
Is it the chakra set? Where it's like all the
You know what?
chakras?
No, it's
The
not the
blend?
chakra. I do use the chakra set, but there's another one. It's the Aroma Touch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I use both of those sets. And depending on what's going on is, what I will use. But I always have Florida water along with me as well. And they're always like, upon entering, they're cleansed. Then we have a little plática. We have a little talk. And I do have them fill out a consent form. I am actually a reverend. I don't know if you knew that. I'm Reverend Annette. The Church of Annette. And so there's always that element beforehand. And then when they get on the table, it is, I go through and I figure out where in the body they need the most attention. And then I start from there. They start on their back. I flip them over. They go on their back. There is sweeping. There is finger sweeping as well. I think I've done this with Tara when you were in child's pose once in yoga, where I start at the spine and I sweep from the spine out. But there's a lot of elements that go into it. When you flip back over, that's when I start using the singing bowls, the drumming. I like to use those elements all over the body. What else? but definitely I don't start until I've called in the elements, until I've, really tapped into what does this person need. And then at the end, of course, I close with that. But it's really based on my culture and also um, curanderismo type methods. It really has a lot to do with that, with my shamanic training. It has a lot to do with that. So some elements may not look very Reiki-like in my Reiki session. And every Reiki session, I can't say that there's a certain flow that I follow for every single person, because there's not. Because I feel some people need some things and some people need something else. So it's really different depending on who's on my table. But it's dark. There's candles, even with yoga. If you come into one of my yoga classes, I will try to keep that room as dark as possible, because I feel like our vision gets in the way. So many times our vision gets in the way. If I can darken the room and allow you to just tap in a little bit deeper by just bringing things a little bit lower, just dimming things down, I feel like you're able to connect, to set free just a little bit more. So in closing, I give thanks, and I do work with the sun and the moon energies as well. I try to look at what's going on that day when I schedule a session as well.
And I was thinking about, with the darkness is probably why I have to keep my eyes closed when I channel. I cannot channel with my eyes open. It's like I'm too distracted. Yeah. Like there's too much going on. So like, I don't know. So I get that. And Jamie had a question actually as well for both of you guys. What do you do when spirits come in for those you're working with? Do you just ignore them or silently acknowledge their presence? Some people wouldn't be comfortable knowing.
Like a dark spirit, or
I think anything, just like spirits in general, whether they were light or dark, or maybe the ancestors of the person laying there.
Yeah. I've had I usually try to send love and not allow myself to be in a fear state. I think when these spirits arise, or dark, whatever they may be, especially something that James taught me, was to send love, Obviously the shielding part for me would be like to make sure that my shields are up. You never know, there's always tricksters out there in the world who can portray themselves as one thing and be something else. But yeah, send love, and I still hold on to that white light force, that sound, and make sure that it's being purified, and make sure it's constantly running over my client. That's like a wave, like a blanket of just white, just constantly. So they're protected too. But I forgot to mention I have another ball from Light of Raga, a big, huge obsidian ball that I use. But I moved, so a lot of my crystals are packed away right now, but obsidian is super important, and labradorite are super important for psychic protection for yourself and within your client. Selenite, black tourmaline, and rose quartz. Like I just try to keep they're all great. All tools, the crystal people are great, but yeah, I send love. And Annette said something really beautiful about the Florida water, as a major tool in my kit too, that I am like, hello. Yeah, that you're constantly, clearing the air and space, and they're going to come, that happens. We all carry things, and it's just the way it is. So to me, it's just holding that force of safety within yourself and within your client.
Well,
I feel like yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Jamie was saying that she had a client's husband come and sit with her the whole time she was there. So I believe it was the spirit of her husband was there. So like, would you guys notify the client, or would you just kind of do what you do? Just make sure that your shields are up, protect yourself, send love or light to it.
Yeah, send love and light. I never really tell a client what I've seen or witnessed.
Okay.
I usually just ask if anything has come up for them, because I want them to open that dialogue. There's been times I have been where a spirit, a grandmother came through very potently, and a message needed to be delivered to a client. And I was like, and it felt true in my body, that discernment within my body. I was like, okay, like if you're open, I have something that I want to share for you, you know, and if you don't, like, that's okay. But for the most part, if that dialogue opens up in their sharing, then I will share with them.
So for me,
Mhm.
you know, the way that I open, I'm asking. I'm asking for those guardians. I'm asking for those guides. I'm asking for the angels to come in and assist. So I definitely, I acknowledge, I don't necessarily tell the client,
Mhm.
but I'm acknowledging, I'm listening, I'm paying attention to whatever message they're trying to give me by whatever means, because I invited them. You know, I asked them to be here. It would be so rude if I asked them to be here and then I ignored them.
They're like, shush, 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 shush. Stop talking.
I'd be like, Tara, come over so I can ignore you. You know, like, you know what I mean? So if I ask them to be there, definitely I'm going to listen to what, if they're there for a reason. They're there to assist me in some way, shape, or form. There have been only a couple of occasions where whatever entity was there wasn't really welcome. And at that point, you know, I don't say it physically, but in my mind, you know, I'm speaking.
Mhm.
And you know, I tell them they gotta go. You know, I'm sorry you weren't invited to this party. You gotta go.
Yeah. This is
But
invitation only.
Yeah. I just start getting the cedar and I'll just be like, okay, I'm
sorry,
on the
you
way
gotta
out.
go.
Gotta go.
But I don't really share with the client unless it was very pertinent information where I really feel that, where I received a message that I need to tell them something. You know,
Mm-mm.
I don't really share it with them, and I don't ask them what they felt. I follow up with them 2 or 3 days later and then say, hey, this is Annette. Are you drinking water? Are you feeling okay? How's your body? Because another thing that I get is that after Reiki sessions, they feel like they got beat up
Yeah.
because
It
of the
really,
release, because of the
Mhm.
detox. So, constantly joined by an old gent with Jack Russell dog. Yeah, see, Liesel, that makes. I'm looking at Liesel's comment
Yeah.
there. About, you know,
About
and
when
that
she was
makes
being
sense
attuned to
because
Reiki 1.
yeah, you're inviting them in. You're, you know, normally you're asking them to come in and help you. So
Mhm.
that dude and his dog were there for a reason. You know,
Mhm.
they weren't just like, hey, what's going on in that room? You know, they're they're there for a reason. So yeah, no, I definitely pay attention. I definitely listen. I'm taking advice from them. Maybe they're feeding me something that I wasn't picking up on, you know.
Mhm.
So, but I generally do not share it with them. Now, there are some clients, even in yoga, as Tara knows, even in yoga during Savasana, like sometimes after yoga, I'll be like, hey, Tara, why were you flying around during Savasana? Like, dude, get back in your body.
I can't
I
help
could,
it.
she's just
Yeah.
like
And
floating
sometimes
around.
also during our yoga sessions, like Tara, you know, she sees my son. And I'm sure she doesn't tell me all the time when she sees my son.
Yeah.
She only
Yeah.
tells me some of the time, you know.
Mhm.
So it's really, it's just paying attention to what you're told to do or not to do or share or
Yeah.
not to share. Yeah.
Yeah. I also, it's kind of like when walking into a bar too, right? Like as empaths, we feel that, and all the things around, you know, just tell someone like, hey, there's a little thing on your shoulder, like, you know what I mean? They're gonna be like, what are you talking about? Like, I usually just keep it to yourself, and yeah, you try to exude that beautiful white light that we carry, and but yeah, it's always like like I never talk about like a dark force. That's one thing, but
Yeah.
specifically that client that had the ayahuasca ketamine, because he'd call it the antichrist, and it would freak me out a little bit because I'm like, whoa, that's bold, like really bold words, but he would open up the dialogue. He would just keep talking about it. So I would just have to soothe him in back to his heart, you know, being like, okay, like he's there, like acknowledge that he's there, but like let's come back to the power of your heart because that's way more than that. And so I've had that one client specifically where it was just like, that's all he could talk about was like this dark force around him. And I
Yeah.
mean, I usually wear white, especially with that client, um, just to purify that, amplify that white purity more. Um, I think all of the other textiles and colors come through like my tapestries, but yeah, it is important that that message that comes through, especially for clairvoyancy or whatever psychic ability, is that we're not, hey, so sharing this or that. It has to be from spirit, from the guides, being like, this message needs to be delivered in
Yeah.
some way. And I feel like those are really rare for me more than they are. Like, it's not every session that I have, like, I have to tell you this message. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
There was one session that I had, and that was a distant session. And I was sending it out to somebody who had an illness that is an ongoing illness. It's not, a temporary thing. And in that particular session, which I've never had happen to me before, but I was actually told very strongly to stop.
Oh.
And it was stop. It wasn't nice. It wasn't friendly. It was like stern. It wasn't mean. It was stern. It was stop. And, I was like, okay, cool. I got it. I'll stop. And so I sat afterwards, and what it meant to me was that I was interfering with the path that person was taking.
Ooh.
I was
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to do that. Not every
Yeah.
session, not everything that I'm trying to help a person get through is needed. Sometimes it's our path to travel, and we have to be respectful of that as well.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
reminded me of yeah, I got goosebumps. It reminded me of when my old cat Presley, who's passed on, but still shows up whenever I do pet readings and things like that. And the day he passed away, I was giving him an energy healing session. And I had sat down, I set down all my tools, and he was just laying there. And so I was getting ready to do my healing, and I was in the middle of it, and it felt like I got an energetic shove back, like stay back. And he looked visibly agitated. He got up, he left, and I just got this feeling inside that's like, no more, no more. And I was like, what? And of course, it was about an hour later, he started, he went into organ failure, and he passed away later that day. But it was like a very stern, like, I'm all done. I've already made my decision. We're all done here. I know you as a human would love for me to stay here, but it's like when they know that it needs to stop because it's a part of their past, then it needs to stop. So yeah, I get that too.
Those contracts, that we can't interfere. And that's something also I feel like in learning in this path too, is just like Annette was saying, there's contracts that people do have, and spirit will tell you when, like, there's times where abruptly you're like, session's done, and they're like, what? And you're like, this is just, I mean, like, I do it in a way, but you can't really explain it because it's something that we're seeing in our minds, and the client's like, wait, what do you mean? Like, I need this healing. And you're like, I know you do, but there's something here within yourself that it's an attachment style too. It's looking into letting people walk their path and not interfering with the lessons that spirit has for them to learn for their own unique healing. We're just these conduits that assist them in that path and guide their, hold their hands through it and witness them. It's a witnessing too.
Yeah.
So I want to say that this has been amazing. I love that you guys have been able to share your stories and so much interesting information. I know people have been popping on and off and kind of, listening in tidbits, and obviously people are going to watch the replay too. But I think a lot of people are curious, like, what does Reiki look like? What happens in a Reiki session? Is it filled with all sorts of spirits? Does the person have to physically be there, or can it be distance? And I think you guys are able to answer a lot of those questions that people may have, and specifically that not all Reiki looks the same. That a lot of people put their own flavor into it. And some people are more by the book, whatever book that was for that branch of Reiki. And that, so I thought this was really good. And I want you guys to be able to share with us where we can find you. So in the information box, I did link the website for Annette and Ariana's sites where you can go book a session with either one of them if you guys are interested. But maybe Annette first, if you want to tell us where else can we find you besides your website, and maybe shout it out. What is your website?
So all of my handles, that's a new term as far as YouTube is concerned, right? I got handles now. All of my handles are Project Refined Life. So I have a website, projectrefinedlife.com. I'm on Instagram at Project Refined Life. I'm on YouTube at Project Refined Life. I don't talk a lot about Reiki. It's in the conversation, but I don't have direct conversations on YouTube so far. Not to say that those won't funnel in, because ultimately that is the goal. It's just, we're in the dating phase right now, YouTube and I.
Trying each other on.
Yeah, we're in the dating phase right now. So, slowly those things will come in. But yeah, that's it. And if you want to book a session with me, the best thing to do would be to email me at projectrefinedlife@gmail.com, because I don't think, again, my technology issues, I don't think that my scheduling thing on the website is functioning correctly.
Do you want to put that into the chat, your email address?
Yes, I will go ahead and put that in there. So yeah, just email me and then I'll get back to you. And then we can schedule it that way.
Yeah. All right. Ariana, how can we get a hold of you?
Yeah.
What are all your handles?
Well, I don't got many, but I also know the technology thing as well. So the best way, well, there's two ways. There's here where my name, Ariana Pamela, is my Instagram handle. It's where I share most of the things. And then my website's attached to my link in bio. My website's Brújula de Flores. It's the flower compass, but it's in Spanish, and I know it's a little intimidating, but
I linked it down below.
Thank you. It's something very, I really had a hard time being like, oh, just make it, no, I couldn't. Like, Spirit was like, honor your lineage, honor that way. I'm going to find a way in technology how to, I don't know if you could do like a URL where it's easier, like BDF or .com, or I don't know. I will figure that in due time. But the best way, if that's just too confusing to type all that out, you can DM me on Instagram. Emails to work. My email's also attached on my Instagram, on my business link, and you can submit a form, like a distance healing. I'm based here in Ojai, California. Another little, what's it called? Like a utopia, kind of like a Sedona energy here. So if you are traveling through California and you would like to book a session in person, you can go ahead and DM me that way through Instagram right now.
And Annette is based in Arizona. If you guys are ever rolling through Arizona on your way to Sedona or something,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Silver Star Priestess said, thank you, ladies, for sharing your experience and wisdom. Liesl said, fantastic discussion. Thank you, ladies, and thanks to all in the chat. Wonderful experience this evening. Kayla said, thank you for sharing. This was a great interview. So yeah, thank you, ladies, so much. And you know what? What I always do at the end of my live chats, I always do a quick 5-minute healing. And since I'm here with two legit healers, maybe we can send an extra dose out while welcoming everybody who's in the chat. Any way that you guys send out your healing, whether it's Reiki or it's the Care Bear stare, let's send it out. Let's send out some good vibes. I'm actually going to pull from my Wally's World right here. The link for my Wally's World's down below, in case anybody's interested. Just a direction for our healing. And I usually always lead everybody in a guided meditation, and then I go into my drumming. But since I have two guests in here, would either one of you like to lead us just into a relaxation phase, and then we can just maybe go into some energy healing? Would you like to? That would be fantastic. I'll
do
pull a
it.
card for us. Okay.
Okay.
So for our directions, so give you just a moment. Oh, okay. All right. Let me just put those back in the box. Get in there. All the cards went crazy. Oh my goodness.
Just like, woo.
Yeah, there's so much energy in this room right now. Okay.
Mike's got the sweats.
Yeah, I got the sweats. I'm like, that's when I keep my arms close to me. You guys can see nothing. Okay, so I have, this is actually the Crystal Pier in San Diego. That's technically Pacific Beach before I guess you head into La Jolla. But I have little Wally Walito. He's photoshopped onto the pier there, and it's really beautiful out there. This was around Christmas time, so they put the Christmas tree at the end of the pier. But let me dive into this for where to direct our healing. Okay, so the message coming through is just to help people open up to the areas of themselves that they've been maybe more trepidatious in healing. So maybe parts of themselves that have been a little bit more closed off or darkened because maybe they're afraid of going into that part of themselves, even though it's the parts that need the healing the most to see maybe the biggest changes in their lives. So those people that are willing to be open to that energy, I do ask you to allow your energy to be open to that. But I do feel this is going to be a good direction for this particular healing, is to reach the people who need to reach the darkest aspects of themselves and have that open up so that they can receive the biggest amounts of healing in whatever fashion that may be, as they go along their journey. So, all right, I will let Annette take over, maybe guide us a little bit, and I'll do maybe a little drumming in the background.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So no matter where you're at, if you can just find a comfortable seat, relax the shoulders, and pull the spine up really nice and tall, and then just begin to notice your breath. Just take note of the way that it feels inside the body. Close your eyes, hands on your knees if you are sitting in a seated position, palms up or down. And then as you're beginning to breathe, pay attention to where the inhale is going within the body. Where are you feeling this? And then begin to notice the exhales. As you continue to breathe in, maybe making each and every inhale a little bit bigger, a little bit larger. And then hold that inhale for just a moment. And then exhale, release all of that breath. Now, as we're continuing with these inhales, I want you to picture your lungs. In your mind's eye, picture your lungs. And I want you to imagine that your lungs, that they are branches and leaves. And with each and every inhale, you're pushing into the deepest, tiniest little branches and sending that inhale, that prana, that life force, into each and every leaf, each and every bud, every tip of every little stem in that tree, in that branch. And then with the exhale, pulling from each and every leaf, each and every branch, bringing it out, and then just releasing what no longer serves you. So each and every breath is deepening and awakening and pushing into the areas that we forget. They're there and they can be utilized if you just take in that deeper inhale. So as you inhale, bring it all in, push into those little areas that you seldom see. Hold it for just a moment. Exhale, pull the navel into the spine, fully release that breath, and then pause at the top once again. Slowly bringing that inhale in, and imagine now pushing all of those tiny little leaves so they're moving around. Pause. Exhale, release once again, releasing what's trapped, releasing what's blocking. Pause once again. And now on your own, I just want you to take those deep inhales, completely filling up everything, finding the capacity that we have to intake, to heal, the invitations that are around us. And as you exhale, releasing, just let it go. A few more breaths, just like that. Feel your chest rise and experience the chest fall. 2 more breaths. And relax.
All right. Woo. That felt good. All right. Thank you, ladies, both so much. Thank you,
Thank you
Annette,
so
for
much.
leading us into that one. That was awesome.
Felt
So-
that drum too. Both of you together.
That was, yeah, I'm like, whew, I'm going to go eat something, drink something afterwards.
I'm like,
But I'm like all discombobulated now.
I got that cacao medicine now kicking in, just like, woo.
Kayla said that was wonderful. I thank you guys all who came into the chat today, all people who were lurking, all the people who were responding and commenting. Silver Star said that was amazing. Thank you, and thank you to our two lovely guests, our two wonderful
Thank you.
Reiki practitioners and their very unique ways of practicing. Remember that you can reach out to them. The links for their websites are down below, but they also mentioned that they are on Instagram if you want to go check them out. And again, if you guys have access to the chat, if you want to put in your email or your Instagram handles for all to see, that would be great as well. So thank you guys. Thank you for allowing me this wonderful opportunity to interview you.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
bringing
Tara.
us together.
Thank
I
you.
know.
Thank you.
That's always make the web bigger. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And I wanted to get this in too, just because we are moving up slowly to the property, so more and more of our things are going up there, which means I'm having to kind of rearrange what I normally do on YouTube for the time being, because we're here for a week and then we're not here for a week. So we're kind of going back and forth to being here and not being here. So meaning I'm with internet and then without internet. And I'm like, okay, so this is the week that we are with internet. I'm like, I would love to, get in this Reiki live chat. And then next week, I think we should be back for the weekend. So that way I can go do yoga.
Yes.
and then do the weekly reading like normal, on Sunday. But I think for the week we'll be up at the property, working on stuff. We're going to be installing septic this time, and then laying down carpeting. Yeah,
I know.
We get
When
to
I
set
visit,
up the pooper.
oh my gosh. Well, I would love to take a session when I visit, Annette, or just like a yoga. That would be it. It's in the works.
I would love to do that. That would be so cool. I've been waiting for Tara to get all this stuff.
I know. I'm like, let me go see that land.
Burning sage.
Yes. One day, you guys, hashtag burning sage. So we're, we got to get because the septic is there and we have the RV. It's just getting the RV hooked up to that septic. And it's actually a pretty easy process. It's just some PVC pipes and stuff. So we'll be doing that ourselves. So we'll be dealing with the poop chute. And then we are going to lay down the carpet in our little cabin / shed workspace. It's going to be kind of our office. So we bought a bunch of carpet, which little Quetzadora, my little Jeep, we threw the carpet on top of the roof and like racked it down and, brought that in. So we got some carpet. It's waiting for us. But I brought the wrong staples for the staple gun. So we have to go back to Ace Hardware on the way up there tomorrow. And then we're going to staple down carpets. We'll have carpeting in there, and then we can set down our office stuff and all our stuff for, James's shop, the Crystal Shop, Light of Riga, and then Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and Desert Cauldron. But in the meantime, we're going to treat this as the vacation place, and that is the home. So I'm taking all the rest of my clothes up there and all my shoes and everything. So I'm going to leave a week's worth of clothing here so I can just keep reusing that whenever I'm here for a week. So if I keep looking like I'm wearing the exact same thing, it's because it is the exact same thing. So
yeah, I know that feeling. I'm like trying to get creative with my outfits and like living out of the suitcase. I got like a rotation miss clothes.
I don't have a big wardrobe to like go through. So
well, I
never really
I went through a big purging sesh. So there was a couple large trips to the Goodwill these past couple of days. So I really pared down things, and I have a few things that I want to sell. clothing wise. One of those is a fur wrap. It's an Alaskan fox fur wrap from 1940, and I'm not going to wear that. But that was like, it was a hand me down, and so yeah, I'm not going to have that. And then I have it's a Russian mink coat from the 1950s, and so I'm not going to wear that either. And it was also a hand me down. So I mean, it does get cold up there, but I'm not gonna be doing the runway while I'm up there. So I have no need for that anymore. I have like some really nice shoes that, I can't really wear my high heels up there, so I'm gonna try to sell my high heels and all those things. We'll see. My bicycle's got to get sold. I can't take this bike.
Oh,
like a
I need
beach
to talk to you
cruiser.
about that.
Yeah, my beach cruiser. I have this really awesome like vintage style like 50s beach cruiser that I have. That's not going to the mountains with me. So
Unfortunately,
need to
doesn't
talk
have
about that one,
tires. Yeah.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, Rose Honey Ritual said, "Did I miss? I'll have to catch the playback." Yeah, definitely. We're signing off. I know that they've got stuff to do, but yeah, definitely watch the playback. And yeah, anybody else who missed the chat. So yeah, it was lovely. Thank you guys. Yeah, a lot. I know everybody's going through a lot. Ariana's going through stuff surrounding the home. And Annette, you have a lot of stuff going on in the home with the girls growing up and visiting ASU and all of that. And we got stuff going on with the home, literally, like So I know that this is like in Mayan astrology, it would be a Ben time. Ben. So it's not a guy named Ben, but for people who don't know, it's
not the dude.
This is Ben's time. It's all about Ben. He's really awesome.
Well, do you think randomly though? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, so quickly, like for people who don't know, in Mayan astrology, there's basically there's 20 deities, and they're all subscribed to kind of like each day. And so Ben is considered the home, the 6 aspects of your home. So, it's your relationships, your health, your career, your material possessions, your reactions to things, both positive and negative, and so on and so forth. So like, I think a lot of people are going through that home phase right now, even though technically we're not like in Ben, but I think a lot of people, a lot of those different aspects are greatly affected at this time. It seems like we're all on the road, and it's all about Ben.
Yeah, it's all about Ben.
He gets all the attention.
I need that in a shirt right now. It's all about Ben.
So Ariana, what you were saying?
Oh no, I'm thinking of the seasons too as we enter fall and soon during the winter seasons too in the north. Yeah, like our home, the inwardness. I would probably invite everyone to really look at what home means and where does that really look like. Is it in the heart? Is it in materialistic things? What is home? So it's getting cold. It's getting cold and chilly, so it's time. Yeah.
Yeah, even here in the Phoenix Valley, it's getting colder. Not cold, but colder.
Yeah. Well, look at me. Yeah. I got a long sleeve shirt on today because it's freezing here. What is it? 60 something?
Oh, is it 60 something? I was gonna say, what is it, like 80?
I know. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure the high today is like 70, but all right, ladies. Well, thank you again.
Thank you guys so much. And thank you to everybody who stopped by to watch this live chat. And I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, if you are interested in looking up the offerings of Ariana or Annette, both of their links are down below. All right. So catch you guys later. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Have a fabulous week.
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye, guys.